There is one writing system in the entire history of humanity that has never been deciphered. Not ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. Not Linear A. Not the Indus Valley script. This one remains completely unread. It was found on a tiny, isolated island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Carved into wooden tablets by a people who had no contact with the great civilizations of the Old World. And then, almost all of those tablets were destroyed. What remains is one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in the history of writing. This is the story of Rongorongo, the only writing system that has defeated every attempt to crack it. Far out in the Pacific Ocean, more than 2,000 kilometers from the nearest continent, lies one of the most isolated inhabited places on Earth, Rapa Nui, better known as Easter Island. When the first Polynesians arrived here, probably between 800 and 1200 AD, they found a lush, resource-rich island. Over the following centuries they developed a unique and sophisticated culture. They carved the famous moai, the giant stone statues that still watch over the island today. They built ceremonial platforms, created complex social structures, and, at some point, invented a system of writing. And then, within a relatively short period, almost everything collapsed. By the time Europeans first arrived in 1722, the population had been drastically reduced. The great era of statue building was long over. The forests were gone. And the knowledge of how to read and write the strange wooden tablets was already disappearing. What caused this collapse is still debated: environmental destruction, warfare, the arrival of Europeans, or a combination of all three. But one thing is certain: when the old culture fell, it took most of its written records with it. Only a handful of inscribed tablets survived. And those few remaining pieces of wood still hold a secret that no one has been able to unlock. When European missionaries and explorers began arriving on Easter Island in the 19th century, they noticed something extraordinary. Local people still possessed wooden tablets covered in rows of strange, carefully carved symbols. These symbols looked nothing like any known writing system. Some resembled animals, plants, human figures, and geometric shapes. They were arranged in neat lines that ran from left to right, and then continued in the opposite direction on the next line, a rare style known as reverse boustrophedon. The islanders called this writing Rongorongo. But by the time outsiders took serious interest, almost no one on the island could still read it. The few remaining elders who claimed knowledge of the script either refused to share it or had already lost the ability to fully understand the texts. And then came the destruction. Christian missionaries considered the tablets pagan objects. Many were burned. Others were used as fishing reels, or simply thrown away. European visitors took some as souvenirs, but most of those were later lost or destroyed as well. Out of what may once have been hundreds of tablets, only about 24 genuine pieces survive today. Most of them are badly damaged. Some exist only as incomplete copies. This tiny collection is all that remains of an entire written tradition, a tradition that developed in complete isolation from the rest of the world. And to this day, not a single one of those tablets has been fully and convincingly deciphered. Rongorongo is unlike any other writing system ever discovered. The surviving tablets are made of wood, mostly from the toromoro tree, which once grew on the island but is now almost extinct. The largest tablets are over a meter long. The symbols were carefully cut into the surface with shark teeth or sharp stones, then sometimes filled with pigment to make them more visible. There are roughly 120 basic signs, though the exact number is still debated. Many of them are highly stylized. You can recognize birds, fish, turtles, human figures in strange postures, and abstract geometric forms. Some signs appear to be combinations of others. The writing runs in a distinctive pattern. Each line is read from left to right, but when the reader reaches the end of the line, the tablet is flipped 180 degrees, and the next line is read in the opposite direction. This unusual method is called reverse boustrophedon. Interestingly, the glyphs themselves are oriented so that they remain upright relative to the reader after each flip. This level of consistency suggests a mature and deliberate writing system, not random decoration. Most of the surviving texts are relatively short. The longest continuous inscriptions contain only a few thousand signs in total. That is an extremely small corpus, one of the main reasons the script has remained so resistant to decipherment. Despite more than 150 years of study, we still do not know for certain what language these symbols represent, what the texts say, or even whether they constitute true writing in the full sense of the word. From the moment the first tablets reached Europe, scholars and amateurs have tried to crack the code of Rongorongo. In the 1860s and 1870s, several early researchers claimed partial success. Some believed the signs represented a pure ideographic system. Others thought they were a form of rebus writing. One of the most famous early attempts came from Bishop Jawson, who worked with a Rapa Nui man named Metoro. Metoro read several tablets aloud, but later analysis showed that his readings were largely improvised and inconsistent. He was almost certainly unable to truly read the script. In the 20th century the efforts became more systematic. Researchers compared the frequency of signs, looked for repeated sequences, and tried to match the glyphs with known Rapa Nui oral traditions, genealogies, and chants. Some proposed that certain tablets contained calendars or lists of chiefs. Others suggested astronomical content. In recent decades, computers have been used to analyze statistical patterns in the signs. Several researchers have claimed full or partial decipherments. One of the most publicized attempts suggested that some tablets contain a creation chant describing the mating of gods and the birth of living creatures. Another claimed to have identified lists of successive rulers and their titles. A few even published complete translations of entire tablets. Yet none of these proposals has gained widespread acceptance among specialists. The problems are fundamental. The corpus is extremely small. There is no bilingual text, no Rosetta Stone. The original language may have changed significantly. And it is still not certain whether Rongorongo is a full writing system that records spoken language, or a more limited mnemonic system that only helps specialists remember oral information. After more than a century and a half of effort, the tablets remain silent. So what exactly is Rongorongo? There are several main theories, and none of them has been proven beyond doubt. The most optimistic view is that it is a true writing system, a full script capable of recording the Rapa Nui language in detail, including grammar and vocabulary. If this is correct, then the surviving tablets could contain myths, historical records, or religious texts that we have simply not yet learned to read. A more cautious theory suggests that Rongorongo was a mixed or limited system. In this view, many of the signs may have represented whole words or ideas, while others functioned as phonetic clues. This would make it similar to early stages of other writing systems, such as early Egyptian hieroglyphs or Mayan script. A third possibility is that Rongorongo was primarily a mnemonic device. The symbols may not have recorded spoken language word for word, but instead served as a memory aid for specialists who already knew the oral chants, genealogies, or rituals by heart. In this case, the tablets would have been more like elaborate prompts than complete texts. Some researchers believe the content is mainly genealogical, lists of chiefs and their ancestors. Others argue for calendrical or astronomical information. A few have suggested the tablets contain creation myths or procreation chants linked to fertility rituals. There is also a theory that at least some of the tablets record the names and titles of successive rulers in a highly formulaic style, similar to king lists found in other ancient cultures. Another intriguing idea is that certain sequences may represent ritual instructions or invocations that were performed during ceremonies, rather than narrative stories. What makes the mystery deeper is that Rongorongo appears to have developed completely independently. Easter Island had no known contact with the writing cultures of Mesoamerica, Asia, or the Old World. If it is a true script, it would be one of the very few times in human history that writing was invented from scratch, without external influence. Until a reliable decipherment is achieved, all of these possibilities remain open. Why does Rongorongo matter so much? Because it may represent one of the rarest events in human history, the independent invention of writing. Most writing systems that we know of were not invented from nothing. Egyptian hieroglyphs, Mesopotamian cuneiform, Chinese characters, and Mesoamerican scripts all show signs of long development, and in many cases possible influence from earlier systems. True independent inventions of writing are extremely uncommon. If Rongorongo is a genuine full writing system, then the people of tiny, isolated Easter Island achieved something that only a handful of cultures in the entire world ever did. They created a way to permanently record language without any external model to copy from. Even if it turns out to be a more limited mnemonic system, it still reveals a remarkable level of intellectual sophistication. It shows that the Rapa Nui people felt the need to organize, preserve, and transmit complex information in a visual form. The tragedy is that we came so close to losing this knowledge forever. A few more decades of cultural collapse, and every last tablet might have disappeared. The fact that even a small number survived gives us a fragile window into a unique experiment in human communication. Rongorongo stands as a powerful reminder. History is full of brilliant ideas that appeared, flourished briefly, and then nearly vanished without being fully understood. And somewhere on those weathered wooden tablets, a voice from a lost civilization is still waiting to be heard. The Rongorongo script remains one of the most stubborn mysteries in the history of human communication. A tiny number of wooden tablets. A unique system of signs. A culture that rose and fell on one of the most remote islands on Earth. And a writing tradition that may have been invented completely independently, only to be almost entirely lost. For more than 150 years, the best minds have tried to make these symbols speak. So far, they have refused. Perhaps one day a new discovery, a better statistical method, or a deeper understanding of old Rapa Nui oral traditions will finally unlock them. Until then, the tablets stand as a quiet challenge, a reminder of how much of our past is still hidden in plain sight. Thank you for watching this journey into one of history's greatest undeciphered mysteries. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future episodes. And tell us in the comments. Do you think Rongorongo will ever be fully deciphered? In the next video, we will explore another profound enigma. The collapse of the Bronze Age, the first global catastrophe in history. See you in the next one.